Howdy, 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 my name's Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. Both the last episode and this episode will be ending with babies, but this one will be starting with "and suddenly chair." So let's see what kind of entry this is. You've got to be kidding me. There were 2 straight episodes where it felt like Keter might happen at any moment, and the thing that's Keter is suddenly chair? Okay, I do understand. We literally went over this in an episode of Keter being something that it's difficult to control. They literally said that a Keter could be something like a completely ordinary cat that teleports. So if this is a completely ordinary chair that teleports, then I can understand that being Keter. Especially since it's called "and suddenly chair." Maybe it teleports like Nightcrawler and gets stuck in people or something. But still. Now I have to do the serious Keter voice for a fucking chair. A geolocator has been affixed to SCP-396 to track its movements. Local Foundation liaisons have been dispatched to locations where 396 frequently manifests to facilitate prompt recontainment. An airborne amnestic compound has been infused into the cushions of 396 and into its containment chamber as a precaution. When possible, SCP-396 is to be contained within Area 93. Foundation personnel are not to mention any location or event taking place outside of Area 93 when they are within 396's containment area. Failure to comply with this can result in demotion to Level 0 and is to be treated as a disclosure of classified information. Current theories on enacting permanent containment are currently focused on finding ways to utilize 396's awareness of its surroundings to create a controlled environment and induce it to teleport there, which 396 may become settled in repeatedly appearing. This closed-loop theory of containment is currently under consideration by the Area 93 leadership. Description: SCP-396 is a chair constructed of plastic and steel with 2 red fabric-covered pads in the seat and back. At statistically random intervals, usually between 1 and 11 months, 396 will displace itself in another chair somewhere on the planet Earth. Any living matter that is seated on 396 or the seat it is displacing will also change places. This change is instantaneous. The approximate limits of this teleportation are unclear, but 396 is currently believed to be able to transport itself to any location on Earth. SCP-396 was located in a theater in blank blank. Originally it was classified as safe as its area of effect was believed to be localized. As such, junior-level researchers were frequently assigned to work with it. It is believed that 396 is able to listen to nearby conversation and transport itself to locations mentioned by its research staff. Containment procedures and classification escalated until reaching their current levels. There are currently 494 locations that are known to have been discussed or mentioned in passing around 396 that it may affect. It has been shown to be much more likely to affect locations that were mentioned repeatedly or in great detail. A full list is considered to be impossible due to the incomplete records of 396's early time in containment. It has been on a cruise ship, Site-77 second level research floor, Death Row redacted, Area 93 washroom, the U.S. Supreme Court in Washington, D.C., the set of a talk show, Shikra roller coaster in Orlando, Florida, and Vatican City. Addendum A. On September 18th, 19-something, during regular testing of SCP-1609, the anomaly unexpectedly began to show aggression towards D-939668. However, before any personnel could be injured or killed, 1609 was displaced by 396. Due to 396's more remote location and secure containment chamber, there were no casualties and 1609 was recontained without additional incident. After the incident, it was found that D-939668 had previously worked as a contractor in the construction of multiple GOC facilities. Security data is being reviewed to find out how 396 was able to displace itself to Storage Site 8. Let's see, what did it do though? Located by a junior researcher while on vacation after witnessing it manifest on the deck of the ship. Researcher who transferred to Site-77 mentioned working there. Disposable dude asked to mention their origins. It displaced itself and the electric chair. Due to the fact that an execution was about to be performed prior to this displacement, it was only the timely intervention of local agents that prevented major amnestic intervention from becoming necessary. It became upgraded to Keter because of that. Okay then. So, moving on. So, next up is a hominide. I hope that's an actual thing so Google can tell me how to say it. Oh, I guess it's a monkey. Okay, I guess it's a chimpanzee. But I'll double check anyway, just in case, A hominoid, commonly called an ape, is a member of the superfamily that. Are humans that? The hominids are members of the biological family Homidae, the great apes, which include humans, chimps, gorillas, and orangutan. So, it is just a great ape. Okay. But it's a picture of what appears to be a chimpanzee. 397 is contained within secure arboretum? Blank at Site 20. The arboretum should be stocked with vegetation native to Redacted, and the temperature adjusted to mimic local seasonal variances. 397 is confined to the arboretum space when not undergoing active testing. Transfer for testing is subject to level 3 approval and is to be facilitated by at least 3 security personnel with documented intelligence quotient ratings above blank. 397 may be provided with music or literature upon request, though all selections must be reviewed by at least 1 level 3 researcher to determine suitability. It is to be kept isolated from any primates at all times save research staff. So, 397 is a female chimpanzee that's approximately 4'2" and weighs 90 pounds, exhibiting human-level sapience. 397 can read and speak both English and the local dialect of Redacted proficiently, and is able to write in a somewhat legible shorthand. Standard testing measures an IQ of approximately 160, though this number may be inflated due to the distinctly non-standard nature of the subject. 397 has demonstrated an intense desire to utilize its abilities to read and write, showing particular interest in the fields of ancient history and classical music. Its studies in these fields have been supervised by a doctor, someone whose curriculum carefully eludes any in-depth tactical reviews of military history or advanced political theory. 397 has shown particular interest in the works of Franz Liszt, Tacitus, Seneca, and Sergei Rachmaninoff. 397 was brought to the attention of the Foundation after Dr. Somebody received reports of coordinated attacks on the village of Blank, perpetrated by a band of primates utilizing simple slings, spears, and clubs. Witnesses consistently recounted instances of a chimpanzee leader issuing commands, setting fires, and distributing rewards of food for successful human kills to its fellows from well-defended locations at the village outskirts. After an unexpectedly difficult skirmish resulting in the loss of Agent Blank, 397 was apprehended and tranquilized. The remaining chimpanzees of data expunged were captured and terminated to ensure that any behaviors taught to them by 397 would not spread. While in Foundation custody, 397 has made 18 escape attempts, occasionally fashioning simple weaponry or tools from vegetation to do so. Blank of these attempts have involved D-class personnel acting as willing accomplices, most often through sabotage of security countermeasures or through direct assaults on security staff on behalf of 397. As a result, disposable dudes with a Blank personality matrix rating of 6 or lower and possessing an IQ below Blank are not to be used in containment of 397. Withdrawal of reading and music privileges have proven most effective in curbing escape attempts. Despite a self-admitted distaste for modern human society and customs, 397 regularly attempts to imitate human physical mannerisms such as upright bipedal walking. A log between 397 and Dr. whatever his name is follows. Could you describe for the records the colony of chimpanzees that you were discovered with and Redacted? Oh, them. What happened to them after you took me? Please just answer the question. The sound of chirping speculated to be 397 attempting to laugh. I see. I suppose I would have done the same thing. I suppose I was doing the same thing. Please explain your comment. You saw my society and so you destroyed it. Back in the forest of data expunged, I saw your society and so I was destroying your comrades one by one. One by one. I hate your society still, Doctor, but there's nothing I can do while I'm stuck in this fake forest, so let me out, Doctor. I have better things to be doing. Okay, so, Crazy Monkey. Basically Planet of the Apes. SCP-397 is Planet of the Apes. Okay. The Greeting Hall. I was going to say Great Meeting Hall, but that's more words than it has. It's literally a hallway. And it's Euclid. So it must do strange things that they don't understand. SCP-398 is contained behind a reverse airlock style containment chamber locking mechanism consisting of at least 3 steel doors and an atmospheric reduction system. Did I read that right? Because if I read that right, that's written weird. A minimum of 2 guards must be stationed at the doors, remaining at a 50-meter distance from the entrance to the SCP. It appears to all subjects as a hallway of some description. However, details differ between accounts. It is first seen as a hallway with white walls, plain wooden doors 20 meters apart and approximately 2 meters high, and brass handles with no special attributes visible. This detail is consistent across all accounts. It was found on location at data expunged, and upon investigation, a dimensional containment site was set up around it. The remainder of the original building surrounding it is unremarkable and has been demolished as such. I don't even see any doors, I just see hallway. But it does say 20 meters. And 1 meter is 3 feet, so that was like 60 feet apart, so might not have even gotten to the doors yet. Agent Blank sent to research subject equipped with a handheld video camera with transmission feed. Agent Blank travels down the hall. The hall, it's changed. The transmission shows no change in the appearance. Changed? How so? It's different from when I walked in. Dark wood panel walls, red carpet, and Monet paintings? I like it. It continues until the appearance of several doors. The door is similar in design to the other ones. Agent, open the door on the immediate right. Yes, sir. Agent opens the door to reveal an unpainted and unfurnished room. It seems to be a cafeteria. Cafeteria? Is anyone in it? You can't see it? There's no one in here, just tables, chairs, and a buffet-style layout. It smells real good, and I haven't had lunch yet. Agent opens the door. It's identical to the first room in appearance. A bedroom? Yes, a child's room. The one I wanted from a catalog when I was a kid because it had Spider-Man sheets. We couldn't afford it. Exit the room and opens the one next to it. Again, identical to the first two. She can't be here. What, Agent? What's through this door? My old girlfriend. But she's married now and expecting a kid. The person in the room can't be her. Agent, please return now. Lowers the camera and only the floor can be seen. I want to make it right, baby. Shh, it's okay, don't cry. It was all my fault. Agent, did you hear me? I'm sorry I let you go. Don't you worry, it won't happen again. Agent, you will turn around, close the door, return to the outside. That is an order. With all due respect, sir, no. I can make it work this time. At this point, the camera is lifted and then the feed is abruptly ended. Addendum B. After the loss of Agent Blank, disposable dudes are to be sent into 398. Disposable Dude 193 and 216 are sent equipped with handheld video cameras to explore further. Transcript follows. Right, you two. Continue onward. Understood. Transmission shows the same hall between Addendum in Addendum A. D 193 appears to be in front of 216. 216 feet shows 193 ahead of him. There are doors. Shall I open one? No, continue onwards. The Class D personnel continue after a few meters. D216 gas. 216? What's wrong? No answers heard. He seems to be unconscious, sir. His vitals have dropped out. He's dead. Leave him and continue, 193. Roger, sir. A few seconds. The hall's changing, sir. No change. Describe. It's starting to look like the corridor outside of my old cell. I never wanted to see this again, but it looks like it gets better just up ahead. Noted. Open the door to your left, 193. He opens the door. Is identical to the room seen in Addendum A. A burst of breath is heard from 193's heart rate rises. What is it, 193? It's the basement we had in a house I lived in as a child. I always hated it. I never went in. His voice is shaky. God. Can you hear that? There are voices. Something's down there. Nothing can be heard except his breathing. What are they saying, 193? I don't know, but I'm getting out of here. It'll be better further on. It has to. Starts to run down the hall. Negative, Dino 193. Return at once. I can't, sir. It's terrible back there. It'll be better further on. Much better. The log continues for blank minutes until the feed is inexplicably cut off. End log. Groovy. Now for the atomic manipulation ring. What will that be? It's safe. And it's pretty. But it's not in use, so it might not be pretty when it's in use. It looks like a tiny drum a little bit. So, when not being worn by a human being, the ring is inert. When it is kept in a locked safe at facilities someplace when not in use. Testing of it requires level 4 approval and is only to be handled by personnel who have received a rating of clear or better on psychological profile 399-17. Any generators, power plants, or similar energy sources in the vicinity of testing are to be dedicated exclusively for testing and should not be used to power any other mission essential equipment or facilities. As a result of experiments 399-4 and 5, testing of 399 on human subjects requires level 5 approval and is to be conducted in isolation from other SCPs or sensitive facilities. Under no circumstances is 399 to be tested or stored in the vicinity of any free energy or perpetual motion device. Okay. SCP-399 is a ring consisting of 2 metallic bands linked by 6 metal bars with 6 pieces of transparent purple glass between them. The ring is of unknown make and bears no identifying stamps. When not being worn by a human, it is inert. When placed on a human being's finger, the ring activates, which is indicated by the 6 glass segments beginning to glow one by one. In testing, this process takes from 3 minutes to 6 hours depending on the availability of nearby energy sources. Once fully active, the ring responds to spoken or mental commands from its wearer until removed, at which point it becomes inert until worn and re-energized. It's a freaking Green Lantern ring! In this mode, 399 is capable of manipulating or reshaping objects within a 5-meter radius of the wearer at varying levels of complexity. By a currently unknown mechanism, it draws in energy from its nearby environment with which to perform these functions. Minor tasks such as causing a small object to levitate or turn itself inside out require minor amounts of ambient energy, which is primarily drawn from the surrounding atmosphere, causing a temperature drop. At finer scales, progressively more energy is necessary, and 399 has been known to draw energy from electrical generators, nuclear reactors, and data expunged to complete the reaction. If there is not sufficient energy within 399's range to perform approximately 300 meters, to perform the operation, it will draw on its wearer and data expunged. More detailed operations also carry a greater chance of catastrophic failure, resulting in data expunged of the wearer. Death, vaporization, flipped inside out, brain dead, soul dead. The extent of its ability to alter objects within its range appears to be solely a function of energy available to it. With an adequate power source, manipulation of objects at the atomic or subatomic level appears to be possible, see Experiment Log 399. It came to the Foundation's attention on blankety-blank-blank when a string of power outages and unusually cold weather were reported in the vicinity of data expunged. The object was located in the possession of a Mr. Someone who had apparently become deceased during an attempt to use it to change lead bars into gold. How deceased person came into possession of the device has now been satisfactorily determined. It does not appear to have any means of storing energy that has been drawn in, simply drawing in the quantity it requires to perform a task and expending it immediately. It has been speculated, owing to the high energy demands of 399, that it was intended for use in conjunction with a dedicated portable energy source of high volume. Such a device was not found among the effects of dead person. In conjunction with such a device or an SCP of a similar nature, 399 could potentially be used to devastating effect as a weapon of mass destruction or to neutralize other Keter-class SCPs. Due to the potential negative consequences of a failure on this scale, this line of experimentation is not to be explored at this time. I wonder what kind of power source they would need to use that on, that unkillable lizard dude a couple hundred SCPs from here. Experiment Log. Experiment 1. On blankety-blank 2000-something, user Dr. Somebody on a phone book attempts to open the book to page 368. Experiment successful. Ambient temperature of test chamber drops by 4.8 kelvins. Experiment 2. 1 t-shirt. Attempts to change the color of the t-shirt from blue to red. Successful. Power brownouts reported in nearby sections of facility. Ambient temperature drops by 9.7 kelvins. Phone book. Attempts to cause the text of the book to be translated from English to French. Successful. On-site electrical generator overloads and fails, causing loss of primary power to facility for 6 hours. Ambient temperature of test chamber drops 17.4 kelvins. 1 phone book and 3 disposable dudes. Experiment 4 was conducted in remote facility blank. All electrical sources in the area were deactivated except for those necessary to power monitoring equipment. User attempts to cause text of book to be translated from English to French. Successful. All of them are data expunged. No significant reduction of ambient room temperature. Experiment 5. Remains of one of the people from 4. Dedicated nuclear reactor provided as energy source. Attempts to restore them to their physical condition prior to Experiment 4. Nuclear reactor reaches 57% capacity. They are successfully reconstructed, physically intact, but remains deceased. User attempts to restore subject to life. Data expunged. 399 was recovered by hazmat personnel 48 hours later. Weather patterns in vicinity of facility site normalized within 96 hours. Radiological contamination of the region has been deemed within acceptable limits. Note: following the loss of Dr. Blank, Dr. Someone else had requested and was granted permission to conduct the following test on himself. Okay, so it sounds like, It dropped the nuclear reactor to 57% to fix whatever Experiment 4 did to the disposable dude, and trying to bring them back to life caused a nuclear meltdown. That's what it sounds like happened. Okay, so Experiment 6. User attempts to cause self to levitate. Successful. Upon levitation, room temperature begins to drop 1 Kelvin approximately every 0.68 seconds. He then begins to cause himself to hover slowly about the test chamber, which begins to produce electrical brownouts. The rate of temperature increases to 1 Kelvin per 0.47 seconds at this time, and fluctuates as the rate of the doctor's movement is accelerated or slowed. Experiment is terminated after room temperature drops below 0 degrees centigrade. I'm not sure what that means. What does that mean? I'm not a scientist. Why did they say... Okay, what's the difference? This is the most common temperature scale in the world and the simplest to understand. Put simply, 0C is the freezing point of water and 100 is the boiling point of water. Centigrade is an old-fashioned name for Celsius. The scale was named after Swedish scientist Anders Celsius. Okay, so centigrade and Celsius are the same thing. They just... Apparently, whoever wrote this article has been saying Kelvin and then suddenly decided to say centigrade. Those are two different measurements of temperature, though. Why did you spend the whole article using Kelvin and then just change to centigrade when you could have just said Celsius, which wouldn't have made much more sense than saying centigrade anyway? Bumped into my water bottle, sorry. Now it's time for SCP-400 Beautiful Babies. Please don't have a picture, okay. Well, it's Euclid, and Site-77 is clickable in this one for some reason, and so is Dr. Marshall Grant, which goes to something called Leafter, and so is Beta-7, which goes to Task Forces. So, a single colony of beautiful babies in Foundation custody, designation Beautiful Babies B, is currently housed at a juvenile humanoid containment cell at Site-77's Euclid Objects Wing. Any cell containing an active beautiful baby colony must be secured with an airlock door under biosafety level 4 precautions. Any openings for ventilation must be covered by a metal screen with gaps no greater than 0.2 centimeters in diameter, followed by an aerosol filter of 400 AF. To be changed monthly and remanded to on-site chemical research personnel with level 3 to 4 clearance. Access for experimentation purposes requires approval from both the Ethics Committee and the item's acting HMCL supervisor, currently Dr. Marshall Grant. Beautiful baby handlers are required to wear level 4 positive pressure biohazard suits and must be decontaminated prior to egress. In emergency situations, prevention of olfactory contact with the beautiful babies is sufficient to prevent accidental exposure in most cases. For caregiving instructions, please refer to document 400C revision 1.3. Agents operating in the continental United States are to report any statistically significant drop in daycare, preschool, and primary school enrollment in their assigned region. Elements of MTF Beta-7, Maz Hatters, are to remain on call for identification, research, and termination of active beautiful baby infestations. Locations found to be infested are to be quarantined using cover story 139B, Bubonic Plague. Media inquiries are to be categorically denied, and all agents of the press demonstrating interest in the quarantine are to be detained and administered a Class B amnestic prior to release. Foundation personnel affected by the beautiful babies are subject to quarantine of up to 3 weeks. If by this time anomalous effects have subsided, personnel are subject to psychological evaluation prior to returning to duty. If anomalous effects are still present after the administration of a Class A amnestic, remaining personnel may be assigned to non-anomalous research, administrative, or medical positions. Civilians exposed are to be administered a Class A amnestic prior to release. Please refer to document 401R for reintegration instructions by geographic region. Damage control for infestations, and why did I say that like that? Infestations affecting population centers of 500 persons or more may employ amnestic agent NUI-2 locally if necessary. At least one active beautiful baby colony must be collected from all subsequent infestations and remanded to genetic research personnel with level 3 to 400 clearance. So, beautiful babies is the collective designation for an anomalous species of arthropod similar to Armadillidium vulgare or the common pillbug. Why are they called beautiful babies if they're pillbugs? 400 beautiful baby individuals are morphologically similar to A. vulgare in appearance, but can be distinguished visually by bright red striping patterns on their dorsal carapace. I want to keep saying beautiful babies instead of SCP-400 because it's fun. visual identification is only possible by individuals not under the influence of beautiful babies' anomalous effects. Beautiful babies are a parasitic organism which feeds on human mammary secretions. Access to this food source is gained by habitation and manipulation of deceased human infants. Oh. It's not fun anymore. Affected persons are subject to a Type 3 cognitohazard via a pheromone vector, which repurposes the natural child-rearing instincts that are present in all humans for its own feeding and protection. Those subject to this effect are unable to perceive SCP-400 or the damage it causes to infants. Exposure to disposable dude assets has determined that the effect does not apply to video or audio surveillance, and that level 4 biohazard precautions are sufficient in preventing the effect's onset. Personnel briefed on 400's effects show no special immunity to the false perceptions created by the anomaly. As of July 14, 2005, the Ethics Committee has determined that future human experimentation with 400 will only be allowed in unique and dire circumstances. As such, all information regarding 400's relationship with humans and life cycle have been compiled from extensive surveillance and interviews conducted in blankety blank, the site of 400's discovery. Conclusions are based on an observational period from August 2003 through July 2005. Infestation begins when 25 to 50 instances of 400 select an infant and access its crib. Precise criteria for this selection is unknown. In the 7 colonies observed from inception, infant targets were between 3 weeks and 2 months of age. Upper and lower age bounds for infection have not been established. Observation has failed to detect any instance of 400 prior to appearance within target crib. Parents and disposable personnel present will be unable to perceive 400. If any person passes within half a meter of the infant, 400 instances will collectively release a fine spray, which causes immediate disorientation and rapid loss of consciousness. 400 will then begin to burrow into the flesh of the sleeping infant. Favored points of entry include the mouth, eyes, anus, navel, and armpits. The infant will not react to the presence of 400 in any fashion, suggesting the use of local anesthetics. Cardiopulmonary activity in the infant will cease within the first 40 minutes of this procedure, and within 3 to 5 hours movement will resume, followed by strained vocalizations. At this point, the infant is considered an active colony of 400. Incapacitated subjects will awaken soon after the first vocalization and investigate. Parents or other adults present within earshot will also show interest as per normal for distressed infant vocalization. If the original mother of the colony is present at this time, she will immediately begin breastfeeding regardless of previous feeding schedule or practices. Over roughly the next 10 weeks, parents and other adults begin to show increased affection and protectiveness towards the colony. During this stage, direct observation by present adults and children will be unable to detect any abnormalities in the colony's physiology, despite numerous dermal perforations and jerky, unnatural movement. The colony is capable of basic vocalization and is able to emulate feeding, defecation, and play behaviors of normal infants with increasing proficiency. Decomposition is still visible via surveillance during this time, culminating in desiccation of the colony's remaining soft tissues, which says, it is presumed that the final desiccation is an adaptation to 400, developed to ensure the colony's continued structural integrity. By the end of the 12th week, all observed colonies exhibited increased size such that individual instances of 400 are visible moving under the skin. Such colonies are considered mature, and individual instances will begin reproductive behavior during this period. During feedings, 7 to 12 400 individuals will exit the colony through one of its dermal perforations and take hold of any exposed portion of the mother's skin for approximately 10 minutes before returning. Most mothers studied during this time begin to show increased progesterone production, as well as heightened levels of human chorionic gonadotropin, indicating an induced pregnancy. After an incubation period of 2 to 3 days, host mothers will birth 25 to 50 instances of 400 during her next sleep. Instances of 400 have not been successfully tracked after birth. Maximum interval of dormancy before 400 must initiate another infestation is unknown. After breeding behavior begins, the cycle will repeat once weekly for the duration of the infestation. No natural limit to 400 infestation timeline has been observed, see Addendum 2. Of blank 100 recorded infestations to date, all have occurred in the southeastern United States in rural or mountainous areas, and in some cases have gone unnoticed for as long as 9 months. Improved detection and extermination of 400 instances is considered a high research priority. Addendum 1, Interview 425. 25th in a series of interviews conducted during the blankety-blank infestation of 2003, Mrs. Someone, hereafter Mrs. B. Interviewed by Dr. Marshall Grant, Agent Fabian Petrucci observing, Mrs. B has served as host mother to 400A and B simultaneously. The advanced state of decomposition suggests the colonies have been active for over 2 years. She and her deceased twins are considered strong candidates for patient 400-0. At the time of interview, B was isolated for 400 for 15 days. Interview conducted on, what is that, October 7th, 2005? Might be July 10th. Good afternoon. How are we feeling today? Where are my babies? What have you done with my babies? Your children are being treated for possible bubonic plague exposure, ma'am. They will be returned to you as soon as possible. Strikes table. Oh, that's bullshit! You can't keep them from me. You have no right to keep a mother from her children. Tell me where they are, so help me when my husband's lawyers hear of this. Miss B, we're here on your side here. We want to help. If you'll just answer a few questions for me, we'll do everything we can to let you see them this afternoon. I've already told you on the form. They're 3 months old, male, names redacted. Identical twins, weigh about 10 pounds. They don't have any allergies. What more do you want from me? You said 3 months old? When were they born? February 5th, 2003. Now wait! I'm sorry, I love them so much. Never thought I would be such a mother, but they've been such a joy. After my husband died, thought I get silent for 15 seconds. They mean the world to me. I don't know what I would do without them. Not a day goes by I don't feel blessed. I imagine you must. For the record, you're aware of today's date. It's July the 10th, 2000... Huh, well that's funny. I could have sworn they were only 3 months. My time does fly. I must have a picture of them here somewhere. Access personal effects produces a portrait of A and B prior to infestation. Here it is. Aren't they just so beautiful? Yes, ma'am. Now, has there been anything peculiar about your boys? Well, there was that time in May when the doctor... No, nothing at all. If anything, they were doing too well. So healthy and full of life. I swear a little redacted said, Mama, just yesterday. I'm sorry, what was that about a doctor? Yes, he came by the house after they... 3-second pause, subject visibly confused. I didn't say anything about a doctor. Let me see my children, please. They're probably starving by now. They need to be fed. Agent Producer inaudible to Mrs. B. We're losing her. Come back to it. I assure you, ma'am, we're giving them the best care possible. With that awful formula, I bet. Redacted threw up the last time I tried that. Neither of them have touched it since. No, it's natural breast milk for them, 100%. My obstetrician said they'll need it for at least another 3 months, and I'm not about to take any risk. Isn't 2.5 years a little long to be breastfeeding? They're only 3 months old. But just now you had said, I know what I said, it's your fault, it got me all turned around. I'm sorry if I've confused you, ma'am, it's just, who the hell are you people anyway? Let me see my babies. At this point in the interview, Mrs. B refused to answer any further questions and exhibited increased emotional distress and separation anxiety. Post-interview medical examination revealed extensive ovarian uterine trauma in excess of all other host mothers examined. Mrs. B was administered a Class A amnestic when observations were concluded and is currently under Foundation surveillance as a person of interest. Addendum 2. As of July 14th, A and B have been active in Foundation custody for 5 years, indicating that colonies may be able to survive indefinitely if continually provided with food. Level 4 biohazard precautions have been successfully prevented not only reproduction of 400, but also the spread of all cognitohazardous effects within Site-77. Limited access for experimentation may be granted with approval from the Ethics Committee and 400's HMCL supervisor, currently Dr. Grant. Please allow up to 30 days for review prior to beginning any new line of experimentation. Addendum 3. On October the 5th, 2005, A ceased activity while in containment after ingesting an experimental nutritional supplement, allowing medical examiners to dissect the colony. Despite desiccation and decomposition, muscle tissues remain responsive to electrical stimulus. Highest concentrations of 400 can be found in the stomach, mouth, brain case, and spinal column. A particular note is the presence of individual specimens periodically along major motor nerves in the extremities, indicating an unprecedented level of communal intellect utilizing the infant's extant neural architecture. Examination of the pheromones produced by individual 400 instances has revealed several hallucinogenic, amnestic, and soporific compounds which are capable of reproducing 400's cognitohazardous effects. Analysis of several compounds has revealed similarities to Class B and C amnestics currently in use by the Foundation, indicating a possible security breach, minimal risk. Aerosol concentrations of the mixture as low as 500 ppm have proven effective in initiating the effect. Further research into genetic sequencing of 400 is recommended. So, that was completely terrible. And that's also the stopping point for this episode. So, this has been Anachi Sasuke. This is episode 95 of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the next one, we're going to start with a palm tree, and we're going to stop at a telepathic virus. So it should be interesting, especially since the telepathic virus happens right after memories lost and memories found. So, if you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.